Hello everybody. In this video, we will try to understand some more interesting things about Punarvasu Nakshatra. If you observe the professions that Punarvasu energy is aligned with, the professions are trades and sales people of all types. It's because of the Gemini influence, the mercurial influence. So, Gemini is basically a sign of Mercury. So, Mercury by default has lot of the behavior of a tradesman or a salesman, a merchant basically. So, trades and sales people of all types is very important because Punarvasu's energy is also having the inner core as give and take. So, the business area and artisans, fairy tale writers, the writing capacity also comes from Mercury. Even writers dealing with astrology and other esoteric subjects, visionaries, it's all related to Mercury, right? And all professions involving travel and tourism because Gemini is natural third house. So, this travel and tourism is very much into Punarvasu. Recycling experts, because Punarvasu has this particular recycling energy, because you lose and then you gain. Initially, you are at position A and you may lose something, and again you can come back to point A, because Punarvasu is always about safe returning. So the recycling experts you can observe always with Punarvasu's energy. Hotel and restaurant industry, and because see, it has that motherly nature, it has that nurturing energy with Punarvasu. So that hotel and restaurant industry, transport industry, as Gemini is the natural third house, house construction companies, because of the fundamental behavior of Punarvasu, a safe return. And one more thing is Punarvasu's alternative symbolism is house, the safety. Punarvasu is always about safety. Whenever you talk about Punarvasu, you talk about safety. And also a symbolism for safety is house. So any kind of house construction companies, architects, because of that mercurial energy, all science related professions because of that mercurial energy, civil energy, civil engineers, because it's always about construction, and teachers in schools because they have that warmth, teachers in schools, colleges and universities, psychologists. Punarvasu 4 people are very good at psychology generally. Psychologists, philosophers, priests, monks and gurus, because of the Jupiter influence. Even these teachers in schools, colleges, universities That's all Jupiterian influence. Preachers involved with self enhancement techniques. That's all Jupiter behavior. Importers and exporters, historians, antique dealers, farmers, and cattle and sheep farmers, all professions requiring an innovative approach because that is all Jupiter's behavior. The communications jobs, of course, because of the mercurial energy, radio and telephony industry, because of the mercurial influence, courier companies, third house influence, postal service, newspaper industry, mail order and home delivery businesses, landlords, because of that fourth house energy, the Cancer, a Punarvasu 4 is present, keepers of temples, temple relation is with respect to Jupiter, even keepers of any religious building, home maintenance services, archery and target shooting, because Punarvasu has the ability to accomplish a mission. All sports involving use of hands, because Punarvasu is very famous with fingers and nose, patriots, aviators, astronauts, and all space satellite professions, because Punarvasu is very much related to space, because Punarvasu's deity is Aditi. Aditi means space. And Punarvasu has that accommodating behavior. And the places associated with Punarvasu energy are areas near ponds, lakes and rivers, farmlands, pilgrimage spots, villages and small towns, post offices, because of that communication, right? Transportation places like bus stations, train stations, any Gemini related stuff. And even airports, space stations, renovated buildings, because renovation is nothing but it's at point A and after some time it has lost its charm and then it gets back. So that's a kind of renovation. Public parks, homes, homeland, hostels, hotels, bed and breakfast places. It's all a kind of, home, homely or safety kind of. Because Punarvasu is always about this kind of safety. Even motels or hotels, restaurants, temples and treasuries, because of that Mercury and Jupiterian influence combinedly. Markets, rehabilitation centers, because in rehabilitation center, initially a person, in rehabilitation center you go with a problem, and the idea of rehabilitation center is they have to make you comfortable and reach you to your initial position. That's a kind of recycling. That's a kind of making you better and getting you to your previous point. So making you better again, making you prosperous again, making you, good again. So this is all Punarvasu. Any kind of mission if you have to achieve, that mission's energy is also Punarvasu. Educational institutions because of the Jupiter influence, public and political assembly places, roads, science museums, antique shops, community halls. These are all the places associated with Punarvasu. You can just observe the energy of Punarvasu. It has the Jupiterian influence a lot, and it is in the sign of Gemini and also the sign of Cancer, the fourth pada only in the sign of Cancer. So the whole energy is related to Punarvasu. And if you observe, Punarvasu is a Sattvic nakshatra. So the reason behind this classification can be easily understood because Punarvasu's planetary ruler is Jupiter. It's a Sattvic planet. The qualities which make it godly are the qualities which make it Sattvic as well. So Punarvasu is very Sattvic. However, its most Sattvic quality is that it never deliberately means harm to anybody. Generally, Punarvasu people do not harm anybody. And it belongs to the water element because of its association with the watery planet Jupiter. It has the water quality. Punarvasu is a nakshatra akin to nourishing, nurturing, and other such qualities associated with water element. And it is considered as a godly nakshatra. You can see it from its nature and functioning that it is a very generous, kindly, and compassionate nakshatra. So all these qualities are seen as being godly by our ancient philosophers or ancient rishis, you can say. See, the first ray of sunlight after a storm must obviously relate to the divinity aspect of nature and creation. Because Ardra is a storm, and after Ardra you have Punarvasu. So as the first ray of sunlight, it's something like first ray of sunlight after a storm. So it's very godly in nature, that's why. It's a very balancing nakshatra. See, the level nakshatras, the level means the balancing nakshatras, or the level nakshatras, they are neither too expansive nor too contracting. In other way, you can say they have a sense of balance and reasonability. See, it is very clear from Punarvasu's nature and functioning that it is a very balanced and reasonable nakshatra and fits this particular balancing nakshatra classification perfectly. As very balanced and reasonable. See, the archer needs to keep a level posture and level state of mind in order to hit its target. So the symbolism of Punarvasu is quiver of arrows. Hitting, so you have quiver, a set of arrows and you're ready to hit the target. Punarvasu is very famous for achieving the mission, completing the or accomplishing the mission. So it is treated as a balancing nakshatra. Only with balance you can achieve your mission, right? And it's a very, very movable nakshatra. Punarvasu is related with all types of movement, especially the kind which ends where it begins. So we are starting at a point, and of course there are some ups and downs in the life, and then again reaching the same prosperous point is always about Punarvasu. So it is the first among the movable nakshatras, you can say. Even though generally see Mrigashira can be said to be movable in some respects because Mrigashira is always about searching, exploring, this kind of behavior. But Punarvasu seems to be the most movable nakshatra, the first, you can say, in the nakshatra, in the whole nakshatra system. And it relates to the first half of the lunar month of Pushya. And this Pushya Masa, right, the first half of Pushya Masa is actually a solar month of December, it's late December. So Punarvasu is also related to the Ashtami, the 8th Tidhi of the waxing and waning phases of the moon's monthly cycle. So traveling and exploring is very much good, one of the better things that you can perform on the day of Punarvasu. So what are all the other auspicious activities you can perform? See, making pilgrimages, going to pilgrimages, traveling, taking medicines, and all healing activities. Good for starting over again in projects, relationships, all agricultural and gardening activities, all activities requiring imagination and innovation, buying cars and homes, starting work on a building, starting educational activities, auspicious for marriage, is good for dealing with children because Punarvasu, especially the Punarvasu 4 people, are good mothers. Philanthropic activities like donations, teaching, is good for spiritual activities like fasting, installing altars, meditation, and self reflection. A time for enjoying life's simple pleasures, very good for worship of the Divine Mother Goddess. Because Punarvasu, the deity is Aditi. Aditi is space, as a mother of all the existence. So, motherly nature is very much seen in the whole Punarvasu, not only Punarvasu 4, as in the whole Punarvasu. It's very, very unfavorable for borrowing or lending money. And it's very unfavorable for legal activities or other activities requiring some kind of conflict. Is very unfavorable for these two activities, legal activities and lending money. Never lend money on the day of Punarvasu, and never start a legal activity on the day of Punarvasu. Never start any activity that involves some conflict on the day of Punarvasu. The day of Punarvasu, in the sense when moon is in the nakshatra Punarvasu, that is the day of Punarvasu. And if you see, Jupiter is the main planetary ruler of this nakshatra. In fact, Jupiterian energy is actually started by this nakshatra. So it is the first nakshatra where a sense of ethics is developed and the focus shifts from the self to communal well-being. Ethics, Jupiter is about ethics. It doesn't mean that Punarvasu people have a lot of ethics, but it has that energy. Some or the other point of time, Punarvasu people talk about ethics. It doesn't mean all Punarvasu people are very, very ethical in nature. It's based on the individual horoscopes, but Punarvasu energy definitely gives some kind of ethical behavior to some extent for sure. So Jupiterian energy here manifests itself through a sense of accommodation, a quality which makes this the most reasonable amongst the nakshatras. As accommodating. So Punarvasu represents the stage in life when a child outgrows from naughtiness and settles into a mindset which is more aware of the need of others. It's in the Punarvasu energy can understand others better, can observe others better, can really, really sense others better. So this nakshatra falls in the sign of Mercury and Moon, three parts in Gemini, one part in Cancer. So Gemini belongs to Mercury and Cancer belongs to Moon. See, both these planets are also associated with this nakshatra. Mercury relates to the communicating and movable aspect of this nakshatra, while Moon relates to its nurturing, mothering quality and its connection with the universal mother principle. Basically, a Punarvasu deity, Aditi, is space, basically. So space is the mother of all the existence. That's where this universal mother concept is actually coming from. But at the same time, you can see Punarvasu 4 in Pushkara Navamsha Vargottama Pada. The Punarvasu 4 is in the sign of Cancer. So Cancer is always about motherly nature. So conjunctions like Jupiter Moon, Jupiter Mercury, Jupiter Moon Mercury carry an energy similar to that of Punarvasu. Generally, almost all the planets do well in this nakshatra. Especially, of course, Jupiter is very Jupiter exalts in Punarvasu 4, right? Almost all the planets do well, but if Jupiter is not well, the planets may not do well. As I say, planet is placed in Punarvasu nakshatra, and let us say Punarvasu nakshatra lord is Jupiter, right? So if Jupiter is not well placed, the planet placed in Punarvasu may not do well. Basically, every planet works for its nakshatra lord. That is a fundamental principle in astrology. So as Jupiter is not well placed, let us say, so what the planet sitting in Punarvasu can do, it only works for Jupiter, and Jupiter is not well placed, then what this planet can do, the planet placed in Punarvasu, that is the idea, right? So all the planets do well if Jupiter is well placed in the horoscope. If Jupiter is not well placed, the planets may not do very well in this nakshatra. And Punarvasu corresponds to the sound Om we say generally, right? So Om or Aum is the chanting for Punarvasu. It's the beginning sound of the universe, right? As per so much of Vedic literature, Om is the beginning sound of the universe. It's the root sound of this universe. And that is the root sound of this nakshatra. So you can clearly see the universe is manifested with the sound Om. So the universe is manifested. Universe is always, as whole materialistic world, manifested with this sound. So clearly you can see there's a strong relation with the beginning of material manifestation with this nakshatra. And its sexual animal is cat. Cats are independent creatures, and this attitude, right, can be seen in a sexual nature of Punarvasu. A Punarvasu can be aggressive sexually, but not to the extent of Aslesha. Aslesha is very aggressive. So, but of course, Punarvasu is also sexually very active, aggressive, you can say. And it is the 7th nakshatra, so it has a lot of balance associated with it. And space is the empty cloth on which the patterns of the universe are embroidered, right? So the Punarvasu is a space. Punarvasu allows for manifestation by providing a medium. Punarvasu is always about manifestation. So if you're familiar with chemistry, you can realize that medium is the main element for manifestation. It's a balancing element in any reaction. And in spiritual level, if you observe, Punarvasu gives souls a chance to redeem themselves from whatever negative actions they might have done in the past. So, this energy can give souls a chance to redeem themselves. So, it is the most efficient karma's recycler. The recycling action is always present in Punarvasu, is the karma recycler among all the nakshatras. So if you have Punarvasu energy, it means your soul is given a chance to redeem yourself, right? Of course, you might have done some negative things in your life. Irrespective of that, God has given you a chance to redeem yourself. So its relationship with Aditi is very, very important. It's the mother of all the gods. So Punarvasu is very, very nurturing nakshatra. It's a nourishing nakshatra. And because of that motherly nature, Punarvasu people always give you a second chance. It harmonizes the opposing tendencies inherent in the universal scheme. So Punarvasu is always about harmony. They always give you a second chance. And if you observe the twins, Castor and Pollux, which actually represent the two stars of this nakshatra, they're basically two extreme sides of human nature, and Punarvasu establishes a happy medium. So it can be said that Vishnu Tattva begins in Punarvasu Nakshatra. So this is the first nakshatra where a sense of harmony and equilibrium is established between the existing elemental forces on all planes of existence. Punarvasu is about balance. Punarvasu is about harmony, equilibrium. So none of the nakshatras prior to Punarvasu engage in this kind of thing, in this kind of balancing, equilibrium, harmony. So Rama, the eighth incarnation of Vishnu, you can see Ashtami Tidhi is related to Punarvasu, and even Rama is actually the eighth incarnation of Vishnu, was born with Punarvasu rising, and the ascendant, you can see the ascendant of Rama is actually as Punarvasu rising, and his whole life was nothing but an effort to create an equilibrium on planet Earth in his day and age. He tried a lot to maintain that harmony on the earth, that equilibrium. So the two sons of Rama, even if you observe, Lava and Kusha, are the twin brothers, right? They are the twin brothers, the sons of Rama, Lava and Kusha. And even the Punarvasu Nakshatra, the two stars of Punarvasu Nakshatra, Castor and Pollux, they are also twin stars. So Lava and Kusha's their reign on earth after they took over from their father Lord Rama is regarded as one of the most peaceful times in the history of our mother earth. So Lava and Kusha, they always tried for harmony. It was a very great period according to Puranas, right? So Punarvasu is very much related with his harmony and equilibrium. So this nakshatra is related to sage Kratu. Kratu is one of the seven celestial sages who is actually looking after, see, the seven celestial sages who are actually looking after the affairs of our galaxy. If you observe Kratu, the meaning of Kratu is the inspirer. So Punarvasu, because of its association with Jupiter, has a preachy and inspiring quality about it. So Punarvasu inspires by setting an example through its inner gentleness. Of course, irrespective of their education and all this stuff, Punarvasu people are inspiring if you try to understand them. You can always find some kind of inspiring element in Punarvasu, even though because of some negative influence, even though they are lazy, even though they have a lot of inactivity, but still you can find some kind of inspiring element in Punarvasu. So if you're suffering from bad effects of this nakshatra, that means if some malefic planet is sitting in Punarvasu and you're suffering because of that, the best remedial measure is to worship any goddess like Durga, Ma Lakshmi, Ma Saraswati, Aditi, Ma Aditi, or Ma Parvati. Generally, Ma Parvati is very much related to Mrigashira Nakshatra, but still, any goddess you can worship. And repetition of the mantra Om activates your Punarvasu energy. It makes your Punarvasu energy better. Even the people having benefic influence of Punarvasu can also chant Om, making their life better. It's very helpful for the Punarvasu energy people to wear green, yellow, and white colored dresses. And they should use the directions as noted by Punarvasu, that is the west, north, and northeast, and the lunar month, that is the first half of Pushya Masa, also the Tithi, that is Ashtami. They can use these things to undertake any kind of action in their life. And Rama, the incarnation of Vishnu in the Silver Age, and widely celebrated and hailed in the Vedic thought as the perfect man. He was the perfect man. He was always treated as a perfect man, born with Punarvasu rising. His life, which is of course documented in Ramayana, sheds light on the nature and functioning of Punarvasu. So he always got everything right only in two goes. So initially he lost his kingdom and wife, and again he regained them, right? So it's good again, wealthy again, prosperous again. Even though you lose something, don't worry. If you're a Punarvasu energy person, you will get it back. According to Varaha Mihira, if your moon is placed in Punarvasu, it makes you easily contented, self-controlled, slow-witted, fortunate, and you may have some good character in you. Of course, it depends upon the whole horoscope, but generally Punarvasu energy can give you this if your moon is placed in Punarvasu. And our Lord Rama has his moon placed in Punarvasu as well. Not only rising in Punarvasu, moon is also placed in Punarvasu for him. So this is about the nakshatra Punarvasu, the give and take, the mother of the existence Aditi, the space accommodating in any kind of environment, self-contented. So this is about Punarvasu. And Punarvasu people can be good businessmen in the modern world generally. But if their 7th house is damaged, then we cannot do much, because 7th house is very much responsible for business. So we need to check for the whole horoscope, but if you observe a nakshatra's energy, right, That is the general, the nakshatra behavior is also very important, right? And another thing is, Punarvasu is always about regaining, wealthy again, prosperous again. That's always about Punarvasu. So thanks for watching this video.